How hazardous substances impact on health. The impact of hazardous substances on health is far more devastating than many of us realize. Even with legislation such as COSHH in place, there are still many incidents that lead to all kinds of disorders and disease, such as asthma, lung disease, cancer, skin infections and disease, organ failure, viral infections, accident and injury caused by explosions and loss of consciousness. Types of disease. Following on from the last slide, here are the types of injury and disease you might experience from exposure to hazardous substances. Asthma. Asthma occurs in the lungs. It occurs when irritants make their way into the lungs through inhalation. It's a common illness. Many people have asthma, but there is also something called occupational asthma. We'll cover that in the next few paragraphs. People who have asthma may experience prolonged tightening of the airways, shortness of breath, excess mucus, and wheezing. Individuals suffering from asthma can also experience severe and unexpected asthma attacks, where all of the symptoms described above heighten, limiting the air that they can breathe into their lungs. In some cases, an asthma attack can lead to a fatality. Even though asthma seems like a common illness, it's no joke and requires medical attention and diligent management to recover from and reduce the attacks. Anybody who suffers from mild to severe asthma also experiences limitations in how they live their life. It can be challenging to walk, run, lift, and even laugh. Occupational asthma. Occupational asthma stems from irritants found in the work environment and can occur in somebody who doesn't have pre-existing asthma. It can also worsen a pre-existing condition. Substances hazardous to health in the workplace that can cause asthma are adhesives, chemicals, dust, fumes, mists, gases, and vapors. Lung disease. Asthma is a form of lung disease, but there are many other forms too. As we have already highlighted, asthma arises from irritants in the air. When there are no irritants, a person who has asthma will function normally until they are re-exposed to irritants again. When lung disease occurs, the lungs become permanently damaged. The symptoms never usually go away. The lungs bring air in and out of the body. Anybody who experiences lung disease suffers significantly from a lack of oxygen. They may also experience a lot of pain as they attempt to draw air in and out of the body. Which means that somebody who experiences lung disease will live a lower quality of life forever, unless there are medical advancements that can improve the situation for them. Almost all lung disease starts from inhaling something, but there are a variety of causes. Substances in the workplace that can cause lung disease are any substance that can cause or develop into cancer, known as carcinogenic. All of the same types of substances that cause asthma. See the previous slide. Corrosive substances, if they are inhaled or swallowed. If a person contracts lung disease from substances in the workplace, this is known as occupational lung disease. Cancer. Many substances are carcinogenic. They are known to cause cancer, which also translates to You don't want these substances anywhere near your body. The types of hazardous substances containing carcinogens found in the workplace are wide and varied. Carcinogens can also come into contact with the body in all ways possible. We cover how hazardous substances can get into the body further on in this module. Cancer is a life-threatening disease, and whilst it isn't always terminal, it causes many deaths every year. The problem worsens because it can take time for cancer to develop. It won't occur immediately after exposure. If cancer is contracted from hazardous substances in the workplace, this is known as occupational cancer. Skin infections and disease. Occupational skin infections usually occur because the skin has come into contact with an irritant. They come in many forms and to varying degrees of soreness and severity. Most of these infections are called dermatitis. One of the main problems with dermatitis is that continued contact with a substance can prolong and worsen any existing irritation until eventually you have to stop working because the skin is so raw. Symptoms of dermatitis are dryness, itching, redness, cracked skin, sensitive skin, burning, blistering, lesions. Symptoms of dermatitis can begin to show within a few hours or days after exposure. They generally occur from short-term exposure to a strong irritant or frequent exposure to weaker solutions of hazardous substances. Dermatitis is widespread in the workplace. Typical substances that can cause dermatitis are disinfectants, soap and detergents, solvents, chemicals, powders, including the powder in latex gloves, antiseptics and antibacterials, dust, soil, chemicals, cement, water, mostly in hard or heavily chlorinated water. Organ failure. All kinds of organ failure can occur if a particularly hazardous substance makes its way into the organs. Like cancer, this type of disease can take time to develop and arises from a variety of different kinds of chemicals, which you can contract in all of the ways described further on in this module. As you can imagine, organ damage or failure can be life-reducing at best and life-threatening at worst, and is best to avoid as much as you possibly can. Viral infections. Some bacterial substances can occur in the workplace and can make their way into the human body. The effects of this contact depend entirely on the type of bacteria involved. The severity of a bacterial infection ranges from mild to life-threatening. They can cause sickness, damage the brain, harm the nervous system, cause organ failure, develop into severe skin infections. Bacteria can spread from some substances harmful to health, which can find their way into the air or make contact with the skin. We can also ingest bacteria, though this usually occurs through poor hygiene. Accident and injury. The final form of health problem related to hazardous substances is accident or injury, though we haven't covered every type of health issue that can occur because of substances hazardous to health. Many types of injury can occur in the workplace, but those that we are focusing on here in this course relate to substances regulated by COSHH. Accident and injury can occur when a worker loses consciousness because of lack of oxygen in the air or because of toxic fumes in the air. Many workers may be in a dangerous position when they lose consciousness. They may operate hazardous machinery, work from height, be driving, carrying something when they lose consciousness, which can cause injury. It may also cause further harm if objects a worker may be carrying at the time are hazardous substances, or if there are other workers nearby. Most of the risks are preventable. The reality is that in many cases, almost all injuries and diseases that occur because of hazardous substances are preventable. When these substances are appropriately used with the correct cautions and protection in place, they rarely cause harm. Which means poor working practice and a lack of concern about the effects of the hazardous substances is the leading cause of illness, disease, and even fatalities. Some substances take time to develop into an illness. In general, the longer you experience exposure to a hazardous substance, the higher the risk of illness and injury, especially if you are not protected. But we don't necessarily mean time, literally. You can experience high exposure from the amount of a substance you are in contact with, for example, a high level of fumes in the air, the frequency of exposure over the weeks, months, or years, the length of time you are exposed, either in one shot or the total of a series of small amounts of exposure,